Hi, hi everyone. Hope you are all doing great. We are here today back with Thrive with Marketing podcast, and is today the episode number eight, and it's a special one. It's been almost a year for this podcast, and I wanted to invite someone I knew for a little while, and she's here today to share some of her experience and welcome Emma Louise. It's very lovely to have you, and today the topic is going to be something that you know very well. Is about the importance of well-being and health in this digital era. I say digital era, digital age, but I meant to say like in the workplace. So because everything become so digital, and we all, using we all. I think we get sometimes sucked with working and not really looking after ourselves or our teams. So I like always to start with a little introduction. And she is the founder of In-House Health, but she also like to say something about her. So I like always to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to those who don't know you.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me on. It's an honour and a privilege to be here. So, hi everyone, my name is Emma Louise Fazzari. As Tony said, my company is In-House Health. We work with digital tech companies using a data-first approach to help establish and eliminate the root cause of issues such as work-related stress and employee burnout.
That's great. Oh, sorry. Yeah, mainly. She does that and other amazing things because I follow her. Well, actually, we met if I remember well, in a networking event quite a while ago in Manchester. And one of the things I like about her is like how supportive, lovely, and approachable person she is. So, and I wanted to add that to your story. So let's carry on. So next thing, let's dive into the talking about mental health. What is one of the main challenges you have to deal with as an entrepreneur these days?
Yeah, so I suppose for me personally, being in startup land, it's time. Time is something that seems to vanish so quickly. There's never enough hours in the day. And I don't know about you, Tony, but I know that when you're first starting out and you're managing things and you're getting ready for growth, it feels quite often like you're doing the job of lots of different people. I was rushing to a meeting yesterday that actually I thought was online, and it turns out it was in person. Luckily, it was just round the corner, and that was part of my role as I'm a director at my local golf course. So not even anything to do with my own business. So I feel like in my business, I'm probably doing the job of about 4 people. So, chief technical officer, marketing director, business development, delivery, like all these things that actually, when you set up a business, you set it up because you have a purpose or you're good at doing something, but you can't automatically just pay people to do all these things for you. So for me, I really struggle with time. And I think actually when you have all these things, it's easy to get overwhelmed, and then you procrastinate and your to-do list just gets longer and longer and longer. And I think another thing I wouldn't say I struggle with, but being a health tech company and developing tech products, being a non-technical founder, being a nurse by trade, that's been a huge challenge over the last 12 months for me. I always describe it as in the Harry Potter movies, when you have Dumbledore and he's trying to get Harry Potter's memories out of his head. That's kind of what the tech team are having to try and do with me. I'm like, no, I want it like this. And they're like, we just don't get it. So they're trying to extract my thoughts and to develop it into the tech. So that's been a huge challenge at the minute.
Yeah, I feel exactly your pains in many ways, because obviously the lack of the time is so absolutely important, and we sometimes like to work more in what we like, the part of the business, but then we have to get involved in lots of different areas, and we need to, even if we delegate or get support from team or anything, you always have to get involved in so many different things in so many different areas, and not always have the time or the motivation to do it, but you have to crack on and do it. So it's hard at the end of the day, if we have a purpose, and that's what really matters, and what really drives us to get somewhere. And I like when you say like the tech aspect of things, and even, I mean, I think like we all these days, new generations come in, new technology come in, lots of things they need to adapt and work with, to help and make our jobs easier. But then obviously we need to surround ourselves with people who are helping us and teaching us on how to make the most of that technology, because otherwise it's just not going to happen. It's not as easy. So it's absolutely, I think most entrepreneurs, business owners, especially from small businesses like us, they're listening to us or watching us, they will recognize they will see themselves in the same situation. So
I came up with a phrase about, I think it's about 18 months ago. I was on another podcast actually, and it was about using your time wisely. So it's using your time twice and wisely. So for example, if I'm going into Manchester, or if I'm going to a meeting, I will try and use public transport where possible. So the first use of my time is getting to a meeting, and the second time is the ability to do some work on that journey. If you drive, then you can't do that. Or for example, if you're practicing some good well-being and self-care, so you might want to have a bubble bath, but it might be a perfect time to listen to a podcast that you've never got round to. So it's the ability to not confuse it with multitasking, but the ability to do two things at the same time.
I like that that expression. So using the time wisely, I love that. I actually when I read books, obsessed about, not obsessed, but like just look at things productivity wise, and sometimes we get too obsessed about productivity that we burn ourselves, and we will get into that in this podcast, because I think it's important, because myself, I suffer that burnout, because I try to just do as much at the time and this and that. But it's true that you can make the most of the time in a way that is productive and make you feel better, because you're getting stuff done at the same time. So I love. So go.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say there's a huge difference between being productive and being busy. There's that phrase about being a busy fool, and actually, we can spend a lot of time being busy and doing things, but are we being productive? Is it moving us forward on our journey to success?
100% agree. 100% with that. You're not always busy with the right thing, so you can always make the most of the time in different ways without burning yourself. So why? Well, obviously mental health, or health in general, is absolutely it's always been important, but then it's it's coming as a more popular topic. People are talking more about it, which is great. And what do you think is important nowadays for businesses and for in the workplace? I mean, for people in the workplace as well.
So I think, you said it's mental health, health and well-being has always been important. I think, with a pandemic, it's kind of brought the importance of good health and well-being to the forefront. Mental health affects how we feel, how we think, and how we act. It also determines how we handle and deal with things such as stress, how we relate with others, and how we make choices. And with the rising digital technologies and the consuming impact of the always on culture, and not necessarily just because people are working in the digital tech sector, but, you know, I see it in my own teenage children. You just have to look around and people are absorbed into this kind of digital world. It's almost like we're kind of expected to be showing up in everywhere, whether it's you know, in a career, whether it's if you're a mom, on social media. So I suppose, you know, in this digital age compared to perhaps, you know, 30, 40 years ago, we don't have the option, I suppose, well, we do have the option, but we choose not to take it, to actually just sit at home and read a newspaper, read a book, you know, like switch off. You know, I even remember when I was younger, the shops were never opened on a Sunday. And now it's, you know, my children would be horrified if you were to say, oh, you know, you can't go into Manchester on a Sunday to the shops. And I suppose what that means is that we're less likely then to prioritise our own health and well-being because we are so busy and we never find that time to switch off.
And it's so terrible, isn't it? I mean, sometimes we are bad with ourselves. I mean, like in a way that you stop for a while and then I'm going to take a break and then go on your phone and start checking your emails or all this and that, and then it's like, oh, you don't really switch off it. And I found it hard myself. So, for example, obviously it's about setting habits, but I think we tend to set habits that are more related or tech related or social media related or whatever, and we should be spending more time setting some healthy habits. And
No, sorry, I was just going to say, as a, you know, when you do run a business as well, it's like there's almost like this guilt associated because the list is never ending of things that you have to do. There's always this guilt if you prioritize time to actually stop and perhaps watch the telly or go for a walk, or, you know, even ridiculous is spend time with the family. At the back of your mind, you're always thinking, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And it's those thoughts and behaviours that do lead us down a slippery slope to burnout, really. So, but it's the guilt. It's a strange thought process. It's the guilt associated with stopping and relaxing. And actually, I've got a theory that we should, like, relaxing and looking after ourselves should be first. And then we should do a little bit of work in between rather than the other way around in an ideal world.
Yes. You cannot help others if you don't help yourself. And do you follow any? Do you have any sort of like advice, or you have any habits that you set yourself to avoid getting so like stress or to switch off? Any quick habit that you share with the advice?
I really should practice what I preach, I suppose. It doesn't always work out that way. For me, and I suppose there's a difference, isn't there, between running a business, being a kind of micro business, being an employee of a company. There's all sorts of different behaviors, but for me, it's about setting boundaries and actually, sticking to them. When you set them, you've set them for a reason, and sticking to them, whatever works for you. So I've started, so I'm more creative at night time, so I'm really not a morning person. So like around this time, this is when my brain starts kicking in. So I will often work perhaps till 8. Well, we have a late tea around 8 o'clock. So I will often work kind of up until 8 o'clock at night. Some people will think, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, people that have a typical 9 to 5 job. So for me, it's being aware of that, and not, when I am up early some days, not doing kind of 12 hours solid without taking breaks. So for me, that's important. I've also started a habit of making sure that I have a proper lunch. I think it's easy when you're busy to, just grab some junk food and keep going. And actually, it's not the best for productivity, for focus, to get the the best out of yourself. So we talk about feeding your body, but actually need to feed your brain as well. And part of that with another habit is limiting my time on social media where possible. You know, with nutrition and you're feeding your body, with what we see online, we're feeding our brain. And if a lot of it's negative, then that slowly seeps into our thought processes, our mindset, our mood, our emotions. So actually limiting that where possible is a good habit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with the launch time, I mean, I'm sure lots of people listening will relate that if they're working for themselves, it's like I do sometimes take like literally like 5-10 minutes to eat the salad and then go back straight to emails, calls and stuff. And it's like at the end of the day, like saying, wow, like what's going on? But then having the time, and even if it's just to do some reading or anything, I think it's beneficial, and avoid a little bit of social media for some time. Because
and one of my biggest bugbears actually with companies is organisations that do lunch and learns. I've seen it a lot during the pandemic with, you know, the Zoom calls and or Teams or whatever, where they would get an expert or, you know, a wellbeing provider in to provide some training at lunchtime. And for me, like, your lunch is everyone's opportunity to down tools, to reset the body, get away from, you know, stretch, walk around, have something nice to eat, get away, have a break. And the thought of people eating their lunch whilst learning about well-being at the desk, it's contradictory and ironic, really. I've got a digital well-being masterclass actually, and since I created it and I've been delivering it, all the delivery's been all online, and I'm like, the irony is not lost on me that I'm delivering a digital well-being course online. But you know, tech gets a bit of a bad rep, but actually it does have its benefits. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, and it's hard to control. And then, like you say, kind of like forcing your employees to join a class while they are eating, maybe not the best solution. Yeah. So let's change something a bit, you know, more fun or different. Tell us any fun anecdote or something that happened to you in the time that you've been running your business, or something like people would not know about you that could sound like interesting for them.
So I've got, obviously being a nurse, I've got many funny stories from my career in the NHS. And one that I tell people, it's normally the women actually, but it's just at the end of the day, we're all people, aren't we? And it's all things. So part of my role when I worked in general practice was chronic disease management, public health promotion, and health screen. So part of that was doing women's cervical screening. So I had this lady turn up, and it was always, I always felt like it's my role to make people feel comfortable, to keep the language simple so that it was people understood what was happening, gain consent, etc. So anyway, I told this lady to, you know, take her bottom half off, get up on the bed, and you know, typically my conversation was around like what funky socks people were wearing and things like that. So anyway, I go to do the smear test, and I said to this lady, "Oh, is it a special occasion today?" And she was like, "Oh no, why?" And anyway, I said, "Oh, just have a look." And instead of putting some talcum powder on down below, she had used some glitter powder. So she had this shiny vagina area. So it was quite funny, but kind of tell that story in a lot of the women's health talks that I do, just to break the ice and to kind of let them know that, you know, as a nurse, we don't really care like how people present to us. We just want people to come. We want people to be preventative, to get seen as soon as possible. But I suppose I done a post actually on Sunday on LinkedIn about an icebreaker in some of my masterclasses that I ask is, what's a fun or interesting fact that perhaps your colleagues don't know about you? And I'd put that I play poker. So that's one of my interesting facts. I actually, it's a joke that I won a husband playing poker, but I did I met my husband playing poker. And since the pandemic, I've also taken up golf. So I'm really into that at the minute. And actually, playing golf has been paramount in protecting my own health and well-being during the pandemic. I find it ticks many boxes. So I was getting out in nature, I was exercising, I was meeting other people. So it as a hobby or a sport, it ticks lots of boxes. So for me, that's kind of saved me.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool story about your husband.
Yeah.
So you met playing poker.
We did, yes. Yeah,
you never know where you're
know.
gonna meet. Yeah, you have to put yourself out there. That's you never know where you're gonna meet your future wife or husband. So people, you need to get yourself out there.
Yeah, and when people say to him, "Oh, what's been your biggest win?" He always says, "My wife." I'm like, "Oh, very, very cheesy," but
yeah,
it's true, of course.
Oh god, and the golf. I mean, that is brilliant. I mean, I think like it all goes down to like having some sort of sports habits that get you out of your office, your computer for a while, your business.
Yeah.
Or although you can network with people and kind of connect, but then at the same time you're practicing something and you're playing, and for me it's more like about running and half marathons and things like that. But one day, I'll get into golf because it sounds very, very interesting. So going back to mental health and well-being in the workplace, and these days, digital world, why should companies take it seriously, and what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so like the biggest asset a company has is its people, but actually the biggest asset that their people have is their own health and well-being. Health is wealth, they say, and it's not just because it's the right thing to do. There is actually a real business case for doing it. There was a Deloitte study in 2020, employers report, that showed that actually businesses are losing, excuse me, on average, £2,200 per employee per year to poor mental health. So if that's not a reason for investing in good health and well-being, and I say good health and well-being because lots of people are doing well-being, but perhaps it's a token gesture or a tick box exercise, then can you afford to be losing that much money every year? If you've got 100 employees, that's a hell of a lot of money to be losing.
Yeah, it's lots of money, and like it's also like I feel like when people talk about, because I've been talking to people, and when we hire or work with someone, and then we think about, well, some people talk about nobody is replaceable. In my opinion, I think people are people, and we need people, and we need them to be treated in a unique way that they can feel like they value in the jobs, but then also value only their skills or what they can produce for you, but you can value also them as a person, as the motivations, the things that they've going through and all of that. And but this could definitely take could be a 10-hour session. We could be talking about this.
Absolutely. But, at the minute, I think the stats are something like there are currently more jobs than there are unemployed people. So it's an employee's marketplace at the minute. They have the choice of wearing for who they work for. And actually, the younger generation, the pandemic has changed what people want from an employer, and they want to work for an organization where people genuinely care for them, where people are not going to kind of chew them up and spit them out after they've had their best work for them. It's I think I'm trying to think. There was a study I read the other day, and it was around what mattered most to people. And recently we've seen a lot of increase in salary, haven't we, to attract people to their companies. And actually that was third on the list. It wasn't the top on the list. So I think top was well-being and second was flexibility. So if businesses want to continue to grow, to innovate and attract, the top talent, or, good people with good values that will help them succeed, then they're going to have to change their ways and adapt.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, more people searching for jobs, more new talent coming and rising, and then ready to take jobs, and lots of opportunities out there. So you got to stand out. You got to offer people something, and then be genuine. I think being genuine is the part that businesses, the bigger they get, they lose a bit of not the culture only, but also the way they connect with the people and all of that. So you have any tips on that? What are the key things you recommend people to take care of their staff well-being? We're talking about people that hire people, maybe their staff well-being.
Yeah, so for me, it's important that well-being is viewed as a strategic arm of a business. For so long, it's just been an afterthought or reactive, and businesses need to take a strategic approach to well-being. Leaders need to role model behaviours. It's all well and good saying we want you to do this and do that, but actually role modeling is really important, so that well-being is embedded into the culture. Active listening, I'm sure you hear that term a lot in digital marketing. But actually, we need to actively listen to our employees. What is it they want? What is it their needs? And for me, and part of the reason why I set up in-house health is to use the data to do that, to not only just understand the needs of your employees, but actually understand how their health and well-being is impacting on your business. Not just seeing a return on investment for your spend, but actually how that impacts your wider targets, your OKRs, your KPIs, the impact on your customers, and the like. So yeah, it's for me, it's no longer, or it shouldn't be seen as this fluffy and unmeasured subject. It needs to be preventative. You need to be proactive, and you need to do it in a good way so that you get into the root cause of problems.
Yeah, because it's cool to have we have a ping pong table, we have a pool table, we do this, we do that. But then that's not, first to start with, I don't think that's the culture. I mean, culture is not what you offer, it's how you do it and how you show the values. And then I like what you say, that it's about active listening to people and caring about them and doing something for them, but not only yoga class. One yoga class if you like to join at 7 a.m. before working, and then everything is done. It's a bit more than that. Listening to them on what they do at the jobs. And then the other thing you mentioned about obviously is something that they need to you need to preach. So if you leaders in the company, or the owners of the company, or the people in the company, the managers, they're not actually doing what they actually promising and all of that. And then you can say that you are very doing this, but then at the day-to-day basis, you are micromanaging, you are treating people like shit, all of that. It's just not going to work. I mean, marketing, sometimes what I see myself in some situations is companies that they are showing some sort of marketing, that the culture and the wealth being the plan and all of that is very cool. And then what you hear of what you realize and what you hear when you're talking to someone completely opposite, it's like, well, that's the they don't really with that. So something definitely to take care for any type of companies these days. So yeah.
And I think, just to expand on that, what I see around the current wellbeing practices is a lot of it is for the already healthy people. It's not for the unhealthy people. So, for example, your cycle to work, your free fruit, your yoga sessions. Therefore, a person I've created called Skinny Susan, but she's already healthy. She's already paying for these things, but now she's getting this added bonus at work. But what about Fat Bob in accounts? He's the guy that's he's the guy that's at risk of a heart attack, a stroke, a mental health breakdown, but he's not going to put a leotard on and start doing yoga. So for me, we have to be more realistic in what we do. And actually, that's why I created the Meta program, because we measure the employee health data through our one-to-one health checks. And it's kind of like the wellbeing marketing strategy to the employees. It's saying, listen, Bob, if you don't sort your shit out in 5 years' time, you're going to have a heart attack. The next time we do, a program or a masterclass or some training, Bob's like, oh yeah, that's for me then, because he's been told by a healthcare professional that if he doesn't if he doesn't make behavior changes, then he'll be in trouble. And for me, that's the whole point. It's all these little touch points that need to be there to embed well-being successfully within an organization.
I think it's like, obviously, if it's the same as when marketing companies do marketing, and then they obviously need to outsource to someone in order to create and run some marketing that works, but they actually links with their objectives, etc. It's the same in this case for your program, this Meta program. I mean, if companies are doing something, in order to do it properly, you need to kind of like get some guidance on, okay, it's not about, like you say, running these classes, about analyzing your people, seeing what they need, and then proposing something that really actually could work for them, so make their lives a bit better, and they can enjoy more working, and as a result of that, they can obviously produce more, work better, and stay longer, and all of that, which is the last main goal of these businesses as well, to keep the staff retention as well, and the staff motivation. So we do use lots of tools these days. At least, I mean, myself, I use lots of digital tools, and I always ask this question. I like to ask, what are the few 2-3 tools that you could not live without these days?
In business, okay. Well, the first one, which I suppose it's business, but it's not, is my insulin pump. So I'm type 1 diabetic, and I have the latest technology. So it's an insulin pump and sensor. So it's like, I'm like Iron Man. This is like my pancreas. It's keeping me alive as I walk around. It's got new AI in it as well, which is really interesting. Although it's quite annoying because I had one before which was Bluetooth, and now I'm all wired up again. So that's my first tool that I literally couldn't live without. I would be dead. So going back to business tools, and I don't want you to eye roll at this, but it's Canva, because as someone, like I said earlier, who does everything in my business at the minute, including my own marketing, I've just found it a really intuitive and easy to use tool for me to create images, to keep on brand and things like that as I put it out. Spotify, I cannot live without Spotify, because actually when I'm working and I'm in deep focus, I have music on in the background, but music is also great for well-being. If I'm feeling stressed or depending on which mood I'm in, then music for me is a great healer. It's great to release stress and tension. So I love Spotify, and then LinkedIn, I suppose, as a kind of tool. But I've met so many great and wonderful people on there, and it helped me feel connected still when we were in the lockdown and things like that. And it really is. It really is good, although I must say the quality of posts are going downhill a bit recently. There's lots of people that just copy other people, and I'm not getting bored with it. However, there's less originality out there at the minute. So, you see one post and then all of a sudden everyone's copying the same format or something else. So yeah.
Yeah. They are like people follow all the people and try to copy. And the Spotify for me is one obviously massive, because I love music, and I think every moment or every situation of the day has different type of music. And if you're doing something you need to chill a bit, you put some like chill music in it. And it's a tool that I could not live without. And Canva, obviously, I'm not really good with design because I kind of like outsource that part to someone, but I have to use it sometimes. So I believe Canva is also really, really cool, really good one. And when you say LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn it's so powerful, but then some people are just like making, like you say, not only copying, but also with spamming, like messaging and all of that. I do hate that of LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, it's like constantly people trying to messaging you. Oh, you this, but then it's a great tool. I mean, to communicate, to connect, and link with others, and learn with others. Although how you say, like, people have been copying, but then also I think it's great. But some people, I think, are using it just like as a tool to see how much reach I can get with, no matter what you're talking about, or sharing like anything, personal stories and things like that, which is great. But I think it's a very, very powerful tool. And from all the social media channels, for me, it's the best one. I love Twitter. I don't know if you like Twitter, but Twitter is another one that I love. But LinkedIn and Twitter.
With Twitter, I don't. If I'm honest, I don't quite get Twitter. I'm on Twitter, but it's like, what is it like? You tweet is only relevant for 2 seconds or something like that, and then it's 20 seconds, and then it's dead, literally. And for me, that's a huge issue around digital well-being, because for me that suggests it's designed for people to stay on it for longer. So do I really want to get sucked into that? Probably not.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same as happens with the Instagram, and they obviously the algorithm is benefit obviously if people that are spending more time uses different formats, different content, video, reels, and all of that, and people just creating massive lots of content, and it's time consuming, isn't it? It's like,
yeah. So when I see that on Instagram, I just think, oh, like, where do you get the time? Like, because I see a lot of solopreneurs doing lots of videos, like you say, these reels and things like that. And I think that must, like, if you're not doing any work anywhere, it's like,
I know. Same for Twitter. Same on Twitter. I think on Twitter, how is these people managing to share blah 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 blah, when did they get the work done? We don't have the time for that.
Yeah, so. and again, all these apps all have a place to play in how it impacts our well-being. The great marketing tools, great for business, but there has to be some kind of cut off. I done a post, I'm going to say a few weeks ago, but it's probably a few months ago. I don't know. Time's just all blurred at the minute still, but and it was around the filters on Instagram. And actually, I was talking at a Future of Work event last week, and I was asked about a question about the metaverse. So when people come, and they have their office in the metaverse, and they come and they have their avatars, are they going to be like taller, slimmer, like whatever? And actually, I was saying, well, it's already happening on current social media channels with these filters, and it's a shame, really, that it's. People feel like they can't be their authentic self, or they can't be accepted for who they are. And as a as an organization, as a workplace, we need people to be able to come to work and be themselves, so that they can do their best work, that they can, you know, have that sense of purpose and belonging. And if people are fake or feel like they have to be fake, then that's either not a good culture, or you're not getting that true person shining through. So yeah, it's got a lot to answer for, but then you know, there's always two sides to the coin, and there are positives. I hate being negative, so we'll flip it back to being positive.
Yeah. Obviously, social media, it could be very positive, can be very positive. We learn lots of things from it. We can use it as a tool. But then, like, the other hand is like, can be like very negative, because it can impact how people's behaviors and provoke other type of issues. So we are approaching to the end of this session. I mean, I'm having a really good time. I could be talking like for hours and hours with Emma, because I think like, and especially about things like obviously business, mental health, well-being, and all of that, because it's a topic that we all should be talking about. We also have in mind, but not only talking about, also doing things about it. So would you name or some people to follow, people that you would recommend, or any books? Or I'd always like to ask some things like, oh, you recommend any band, any person to follow, someone to follow that you recommend?
So, I mean, I'm not really a big follower of people myself. I kind of just do my own thing. But I would recommend that you follow a lady called Hannah Cox, who is from she has a sustainable impact agency called Better Not Stop. So if you're interested in people, planet before profit, then she is really good to follow. She's Manchester based, really cool person. She's helping me, actually. I'm doing my B Corp certification, so she's helping me with that. Follow me if you're listening. My knowledge and experience comes from 20 years of being in the NHS, so I have lots of experience, but also I have my own thoughts and of why things should be done in a certain way, and that comes from my clinical experience. And then another fun one I would say is Ryan Reynolds. I think, not only is he quite good looking, but he is, that's for both men and women, I would imagine. But I think he's really intelligent about how he has gone about raising his profile, about how, because he invests in other businesses, his marketing, the comedy around that. I find him really funny, but actually it's quite clever. So in terms of people to follow, that's who I would recommend. In fact, I don't know if did you see cybersecurity video that he done? It was with the Club. It was about having secure passwords. So check that out if you can. It's hilarious.
I am typing everything, and I will obviously share with everyone in the comments.
Yeah. Books. So in terms of books, do you know what? I've probably bought, the last 2 years, I've probably bought about 50 books, and I've finished about 2 of them. People recommend books, don't they? So I'm like, oh, that sounds good, I'll buy it, and then it just goes on my shelf. And I suppose that's because we get absorbed on our digital tools and we forget to actually pick books up. But 2 I would recommend. One is Oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley. Don't know if you've read that one, but it looks at how to more about demand and supply rather than supply and demand. So to be able to achieve more money for having fewer clients. And The One Thing by Gary Keller. And when I read that book, so it's basically about not multitasking. It's about focusing on one thing that is going to move you further on your journey. And actually, when I read it, a lot of the things that he says in the book are things that I preach when I talk about well-being. So I really enjoyed that book. And actually, I read it when I had COVID at Christmas. And since then, this year, I've accelerated my growth quite quickly. And I believe it's to do with following some of the principles in that book. In terms of music, I have a wide eclectic taste. My husband would say that means a rubbish taste in music. But for me, so I listen to all sorts on Spotify, but I love 80s music. So the cheesy power ballads to getting up and dancing, to burn that stress off. And what I love is, because I've been watching Stranger Things with my teenagers, that's really revamped the 80s music in this generation. So the girls are walking around singing 80s tunes. And so it's almost like built a connection between us because of the same music interest just from that program. So that's what I would say. 80, not any particular bands, but just follow what's going to lift your mood and keep you upbeat.
Yeah, the 80s are cool, right? What the California Dream is the one of the songs from the Stranger Things. I think it's California Dreaming, the Beach Boys.
Yes, was that the Beach Boys? Yeah, so that's probably like a late 70s, early 80s tune. 80s. But yeah, that was in season 4. But yeah, that's because they were in California. No spoilers, no spoilers though.
No spoilers, yeah, no spoilers.
But yeah, I know you're probably going to wrap up now, but one thing I would like to say, so just to touch on personal well-being. So I'd said earlier about setting boundaries, but actually for me, there's 2 main things how to look after your well-being, and it's really simple. It's going back to basics. Mm-hmm. So getting good quality sleep, exercising, and look, watching what you eat in terms of, does it have the right nutrients in? I always say eat the rainbow, and that doesn't mean a large bag of Skittles. It's lots of different coloured foods. So for me, that just keep going back to basics. And the reason that, I keep saying it is because we just forget because we're busy. And the second thing is find some purpose and meaning in what you're doing, whether that's a hobby, through your work or whatever. It's one of our, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is finding purpose in life and what we're doing. That's what sets us different from animals and insects and all the other species, is that as humans, we need purpose in our life. So
yeah. I could not agree more with you. Sleep, eat well, and find something to look forward to, something to fight for any purpose. And I like when, for example, Stephen Bartlett. I don't know, you know Stephen Bartlett?
I'm just not a fan.
Not a fan. Okay.
No.
Right.
Well, so you can tell the story though.
It obviously is very social media influencer in many ways, and talks about all this mental health and look at this. You might not be as fun because maybe he's touching some topics, and but I like when he say things like you don't need to have your life figured out right now. And I think I agree. I 100% agree with that, because sometimes it's like you need to have the 100% purpose, what you need right now in your life. And when you see, and it happens to lots of people, when they see other people successful, they I'm not there quite there yet, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I think it's like going back to what you say in terms of like, feel okay with getting up in the mornings, what you do, and you don't need to perfectly love it, but it's something that keeps you like going and excited about it. And but I like that. No need to be completely figured out. Oh yeah, I want to be like in 20 years time, because he also says something that when we wrote the book which I read, which is cool. I mean, you have to take it as it is. It's a book to share experience, right? But then he says things like, obviously, like, when I wrote a note saying when I was like 12-year-old, I wanted a hammer or this car, I wanted to be a billionaire. You don't have to be millionaire or billionaire to be happy anyway. So but sleeping is sleeping and looking after yourself and the basics, right? Maslow hierarchy, I think, is the best advice you can ever give to anyone, to be honest.
But in this world of consumerism, it's often the first things that get left out. So it's
exactly,
we all need reminding.
Exactly, and if you don't sleep well, you're gonna be grumpy all day, and you're gonna be like not gonna perform well, and and then if you don't eat well, obviously we are what we eat. I mean, if we eat well, we feel well. If we eat crap, we feel crap.
Yeah.
So this, well, we're coming to the end of the session, and obviously thank you. I can't thank you enough. I mean, I know we are busy. We are very busy people, and you are very busy. And giving some of your time and knowledge and sharing with people is something, is the best. I mean, for me, like, it's very much appreciated. And yeah, well, you already mentioned your socials, but I like to always to my guests to say, give us some time to say, well, you can follow me on LinkedIn as this, and where can people follow and connect with you or subscribe to your stuff? Is your moment to share now, and then I will put it in the comments as well later in the descriptions.
Excellent, thank you. So you'd be very proud of me, Tony. So you can follow me on all of the socials, In-House Health One. So LinkedIn In-House Health One, Twitter In-House Health One, Facebook In-House Health One, so Instagram. So I'm on all of them, In-House Health One, and my website is inhousehealth.co.uk.
Brilliant. So you making my life, my job easier. So I love that. Love that. And yeah, well, for that, I really enjoyed this session, and I hope we see each other eventually in one event or for a coffee. And I wish you the very best in everything you're doing. And thank also the people who are listening or watching on YouTube, as these sessions run live. Then will be a podcast for everyone to enjoy and listen anytime. And thanks everyone for watching and listening, and see you the next one. Bye. Take care.
Bye.